Hey y'all, Grace Alana here, Grace the Astrologer, and we are here today to talk about the upcoming Saturn and Aries transit. Yay! I'm going to make another video talking about Saturn returns and what to expect, but if you were born between like 1996 and 1998, like me, it's time for us to have our Saturn return. Saturn in Aries is going to bring a lot of responsibility, a lot of commitment, a lot of structure. Pretty much your Saturn return is a time to become more responsible. It's a glow up transit, but it does bring a lot more commitments and responsibilities and hard work. And if you have not been on your job, your Saturn return is going to make you feel the effects of that. But like I said, I'm going to make another video about the Saturn return. This video specifically is just about Saturn and Aries, period. So on May 5th, not May 5th, May 24th. On May 24th, Saturn will enter Aries. Now, Saturn is not going to stay in Aries permanently. This is just the first little taste of the ingress. Saturn is going to stay in Aries. It's going to retrograde, and then it's going to retrograde back into Pisces on September 1st of this year. From September 1st of this year to February 13th of 2026, Saturn will be back in Pisces. The retrograde will go from 1 degree of Aries to 3 degrees of Pisces. And then, not 3 degrees of Pisces. I'm sorry. It'll go from 1 degree of Aries to 25 degrees of Pisces. And then on February 14th, 2026, Saturn will re-enter Aries, where it will stay there permanently until April 13th, 2028. So Saturn transits last 3 years. Saturn transits are no fun. And this Saturn energy is not, this Saturn transit is going to bring like an uncomfortable, contradictory type of energy. Saturn is a planet that represents restraint. It represents long-term growth. It represents patience. And Saturn is uncomfortable in Aries because Aries energy is impulsive. It's assertive. It's all over the place. Aries is ruled by Mars, which is the planet that represents things that are very fast. And again, Mars is fast, Saturn is slow. That's why Saturn is fallen in Aries. And if you don't understand planetary rulerships and things like that, Saturn is uncomfortable in Aries. When a planet is fallen, it's uncomfortable, it's challenged, its state is weakened. And again, it don't make sense for Saturn to be in a sign where everything is so fast and chaotic, and it's just a very contradictory energy. And this can be a time where you can find yourself being forced to act with purpose rather than just reacting. Aries and Mars is ruled by Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars, but it's a very impulsive, it's a very reactive sign. Even when you think about like Mars is the planet that represents action. It represents energy. It represents drive. And Saturn wants you to chill out and move a little slow and take your time. And Aries and Mars don't like that at all. Aries is a sign that's associated with leadership, and Saturn asks if you are ready to carry the weight that can come with major responsibilities. If you act recklessly, this can bring a reality check type of vibes. And Saturn, especially this transit, can punish recklessness, but it can reward courage if it's grounded in responsibility. If you're taking actions or taking risks, but you've measured the consequences, you're being responsible, because you can take a calculated risk. You can still take a risk or do something new or venture out and still be planned and disciplined and to be strategic. And that's really what this transit is asking you to do. Saturn, although Saturn does not like to be in Mars rules, well, Saturn is fine in Scorpio. But although Saturn and Mars have a very contradictory type of energy, Saturn and Mars, when together and when they're comfortable, although this is not comfortable, it really brings the energy of hard work, discipline, and determination. Like, it can be such a productive energy to get things done. So I would advise you to do so. Mars can be associated with temper, ego, willpower, anger, aggression, and Saturn and Aries can force you to regulate your energy and your efforts. You can find yourself being challenged to discipline any rage that you have, any reactive energy. If you find yourself being selfish, because Aries is a sign of self, this can be a time for you to learn the difference between power and control. And you can really learn how to use your power and use your energy to its best benefit. And again, Aries is ruled by Mars, which, like I said earlier, is the planet that represents energy. It represents high energy specifically, and it represents physicality. So Saturn's influence in Aries can definitely bring fatigue, inflammation, or pressure-related physical symptoms. So you want to make sure that you're managing your stress. You want to make sure that you're taking time. And on the opposite end, this can really favor disciplined strength training and the athletic endurance. So this could be a really good time for somebody to build an exercise routine, to build a workout regimen, to get really structured with their plans and how they're taking action. But yeah, when it comes to being fast paced and moving around and having a lot of energy, like this Saturn and Aries transit can definitely bring an energy to slow us down a lot. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and therefore Aries is a sign that's associated with beginnings. And Saturn can demand that you finish what you start. Like Aries energy, and I can say as an Aries stellium, I have an Aries sun, Mars, Mercury, and Sun all in Aries. I am the queen of starting some shit and not finishing it. And that's just the energy of cardinal signs, period. Like cardinal signs are very initiatory, but when it comes time to follow through or finish something, crickets. So yeah, this can really demand that you finish what you started, and you cannot just have a flash of inspiration and not do nothing with it. This transit will really encourage you and push you to follow through and sharpen your raw talent into mastery and skill. So again, like I was saying, like Saturn and Mars work so well together, and you can use this energy, although it's going to be challenging, although, you know, it might be a little difficult because of the energy of the transit in general. Use this to your best advantage to be productive and get shit done. Saturn rewards strategic effort. Aggression without wisdom, without knowledge. So acting, being reactive and not really thinking about what you're doing before you do it can definitely backfire. Wars, activism, or battles, inner battles and external battles that lack a solid foundation or discipline can definitely collapse. So just be mindful of how you're handling your energy, because if you're going out and you're being impulsive and you're doing stuff without a plan and you're just being reactive, that can cause consequences. And Saturn is the planet that represents a reality check. Saturn is discipline. Saturn will sit your ass down. So you want to think about that. And again, Mars and Aries represent drive. Saturn here can definitely teach you lessons about how you assert yourself, how you protect yourself and others, and how you stand up in the world in general, especially when you factor in themes of force versus responsibility, defense versus domination, because again, Mars and Aries is the dictator. The combination of Mars and Aries is the brute leader, is somebody being arrogant, somebody who's being dominating. And this transit as a whole can, like I say, just really get you in line with how you're handling your energy and what you're doing and thinking about being strategic and having discipline and plans behind your action and behind what you're doing, period. And the house that you have Aries in can show you where you'll be tested to stand alone, where you have to lead yourself, and where you have to mature quickly. It's giving boot camp. Like, yeah, literally, I feel like Saturn and Aries, the perfect way to describe that is boot camp in whatever house that you have it in. Saturn and Aries initiate you through hardship into a stronger, leaner, self-directed, more refined version of yourself. And again, relate that to whatever house Saturn rules in your chart. So before we get into the horoscopes and before I break down what this transit will mean for each specific rising sign, little intermission. I'm gonna have to throw some music in here, make it cute, make it fun, make it funky. But if you are not already, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. As y'all can see, I'm putting more effort into making videos. I'm getting the things out. The content is coming, period. Also, if you like me, you like my content, you like my vibes, I do this for real life. This is my job. I'm a professional astrologer. If you would like a birth chart reading, if you have any questions about yourself, your life, anything in your chart, I can answer that using the lens of astrology. moonworldmommy.com to book. If you have any questions about a reading, you can contact me. You can connect with me on my socials. You can email me. I'm an open book. But yeah, book a reading. I got you. Also, subscribe to my Patreon. This whole little description that I just like read and paraphrased to y'all is from the forecast that I type up every month and post on my Patreon, that breaks down every major transit and what you can generally expect from it. All of my celebrity videos, all of my content, all of my notes, for the most part, I end up uploading to the Patreon. You don't have to pay for that, but if you do end up paying, there are exclusive videos, there are exclusive benefits for subscribers, including a weekly card pool. Every month, you get to ask me one question a month that I can answer doing a card pool or looking at your chart. It's $15 to subscribe to the paid membership. So regardless if you want to pay or not, I definitely recommend subscribing to my Patreon because there's so much knowledge, there's so much information, and I'm trying to build a community on there. So go support me. Now, Saturn in each of the houses. Again, Saturn is uncomfortable in Aries, so this can definitely bring themes of effort, delay, discipline, and maturity. But with friction, it might be some pushback, it might be some setbacks. But in that specific house, this Aries rules for you, there's going to be some changes. There's going to be Saturn. So the analogy that I like to give with Saturn, I like to give my clients, is the grandpa analogy real quick. Think of Saturn like your grandpa. It's a Saturday night. Well, not a Saturday night, but it's a Saturday morning. Your parents drop you off at your grandparents' house because it's Saturday. They're about to go kick it. They got shit that they're going to do. They're going to go be adults and they don't want you around. So you get over your grandparents' house, you sit on the couch and you like, bet it's going. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 27. When I was a kid, I was watching SpongeBob. So, you sit on the couch, you watching SpongeBob, and grandpa's like, oh, get up. We about to go in the garden. We about to cut the grass. We about to weed the garden. We about to plant these flowers. We about to go to the grocery store. We about to do all type of shit. And you're like, huh? I'm trying to kick it. Like, grandpa, fuck is you on? Like, what are you talking about? It's time to chill. But you don't have a choice. You in the fields all day. You do everything. And you're annoyed, but it is what it is. You can't really argue with your grandfather. You got to do what the man tells you to do. You're a child. So you do everything. It's fine. And then the next day, your mother picks you up. Grandpa gives you $100 bill. Grandpa loves you. You are his baby. Grandpa always wanted to give you that $100 bill, but Grandpa wanted you to know that you can't just sit on your ass and watch SpongeBob all day and expect to be rewarded for that. Like, if you just chill and relax, that's cool, but you're not really going to get anything out of that. Think of Saturn like your grandpa. If you want anything in this lifetime, you got to kind of work for it. And that can definitely be the energy of Saturn. Because Saturn represents blockages, delays, challenges, restrictions. Saturn represents time. Saturn represents patience. On the other end of that, Saturn can be associated with authority. Saturn can be associated with power. Saturn is discipline, responsibility. Saturn can be associated with leadership, legacy. So, you might have to build up that area. You might have to work a little harder, but you can still have nice things where you have Saturn. So if you are an Aries rising, Saturn is going to be in your first house. Saturn can bring discipline and maturity to your overall self in life. Your personal identity might even be tested. You might feel restricted. You might feel heavy, like you're carrying more than usual. Your health, your confidence, your overall vitality might feel blocked or slowed down. And in general, this could be a really good time to work on yourself and solidify your character, your habits, your self-conduct. If you feel like you need to grow up, if you feel like you need any structure or discipline, if you feel like you need to start taking life a little bit more seriously, Saturn in the first house can definitely bring that push. If you're a Taurus rising, Saturn is in the 12th house. So this can bring up things, hidden fears, isolation. You might even have to deal with some karmic consequences of things in your life because Saturn does represent karma. This can be a time for you to confront self-sabotaging behaviors and also maybe potentially even deal with past burdens or things that you have been holding on to. This could be a really good time for you to cut away, because the 12th house represents mental health. It represents your subconscious mind, your intuition, your deeper, intimate, intuitive thoughts. So if you have any limiting beliefs, or if you have any fears, if you have any self-doubt, or, just negative mental things, this could be a really good time for you to work on that and to strengthen your mind and to cut away illusions, delusions, fantasies that are not productive. If you feel like you're a daydreamer, even thinking about the 12th house has connotations with, it's the house of self-undoing. So with that, you can get addiction, you can get toxic, unhealthy behaviors and things like that. So this transit could really connect with you on a deeper level, and you can really use it to clean up a lot of things, not just physically, but mentally and internally for you. And this can definitely be a good time for rest, solitude, introspection. And yeah, it's just a really good time to focus on yourself and your mental health. If you are a Gemini rising, this is taking place in your 11th house. So this could test your friendships, your alliances, and your long-term goals. Your friend groups might shrink. You might be cutting people off. You might be getting more strict and disciplined with your friendships and what you want out of people. And you might find that only serious and loyal friendships and connections are the ones that are going to make it through this transit. This can definitely be a time because the 11th house also represents like your aspirations, your hopes, your wishes, your dreams. So this can really be a time that requires effort and strategy for you to manifest and for you to get things done. And you might even find yourself taking on more responsibility or maybe leadership within a goal or a community. So, maybe you're in an organization for work and you decide that you want to be the president. Maybe, something happens within the context of your friend group and you have to take on a lead role or have some more responsibility with something like that. If you are a Cancer rising, like me, this is taking place in our 10th house. So Saturn is really going to be on you really hard about your career, your reputation, your public roles. You can find your professional roles growing and increasing. Your recognition can, again, come through your hard work. This could be a really good time for you to get things done, knock off goals, to build and strive toward career success. You might feel like you're blocked by authority figures, or there might be some limitations in your field. You might feel like things are harder for you career-wise, but again, this is really just a time for you to build your legacy and to restructure your ambitions and to really get disciplined when it comes to your career, your reputation, and what you're doing. Establish yourself. If you're a Leo rising, this is taking place in the 9th house. So this can cause challenges or delays around travel, education, publishing your belief systems. There can be a crisis of faith that can maybe cause you to have stronger convictions. There could be authority figures when it comes to education or religion that could be strict or burdensome. And, studying, teaching, or even encountering some sort of spiritual discipline or in taking up spiritual practices and things like that can bring long-term rewards. Like Saturn transiting your 9th house could be the person who, like me, Saturn is about to leave my 9th house. I got very serious with my beliefs. I got very serious about astrology. I got very serious about learning and education and my personal growth. So I relate to all of the things that I typed. That's crazy. I wasn't even thinking about myself when I typed that, but reading that out loud, I'm like, wow, okay, Saturn is leaving my 9th house. If you have a Virgo rising, Saturn is going to be in your 8th house. So this can bring a lot of seriousness when it comes to resources, debts, even thinking about, and when I say resources, I mean shared resources, because the 8th house is the house of other people's things and money. So this is, like taxes, debts, loans, inheritances. This is money that you get from people, gifts, things of that nature. This can be a time for you to deal with losses, fears of death, financial matters, things related to inheritances, taxes. Even thinking about the 12th house has connotations with like your psyche. Like I said, the 8th house represents things that you take on from people. Yes, this can be physical things that you take and carry from people, but this can also be the intangible things. So this is your fears, your resentments, things that you pick up and take from other people in that standpoint as well too. So there can definitely be some deep psychological work that you have to work on. Maybe you're addressing fears, maybe you're working through trauma, things like that. And this is really like a purging process. Like this can be a good time for you to release any toxic or unhealthy attachments. This can be a time for you to let go of dependency issues and maybe become more structured and disciplined so that you can stand on your own. If you are a Libra rising, this is taking place in your 7th house. So Saturn can definitely bring karmic lessons through your relationships and your partnerships. You might experience delays, separations, or obligations when it comes to your love or just relationships. Like, yes, the 7th house represents your spouse, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend. But the 7th house is the house that represents all of your relationships and the way that you relate to and connect with literally anybody and everybody on a basic one-to-one level. So there's something to think about with that. And if you feel like your relationships are not together, Saturn in the 7th house can definitely test relationships. Only serious long-term unions will survive. So like, if you and your boyfriend are on or if y'all are on unstable terms, you feel like shit is rocky, this transit could definitely cause y'all to break up. But, Saturn also represents commitment and monogamy, and this can definitely also bring increased responsibility when it comes to relationships. So, like me personally, when Saturn was transiting my 7th house, I got into a 4-year relationship. So, like, Saturn can also bring a relationship as well, too, if you are in the space to have one. And yeah, partnerships can definitely require hard work, boundaries, and structures. Like, it's a time for you to get more serious and committed to relationships and the people that you may have in your life overall. Period. If you are a Scorpio rising, then this Saturn is going to be transiting your 6th house. So this can definitely increase labor, stress, and responsibilities as it comes to your daily health or your work or your just routines in general. You might have to deal with chronic health routines. If you work too hard, this could definitely bring up stress or burnout or overwork. So you want to take time for yourself. And this can definitely also be a time for you to clean up and implement routines and structure. They can definitely support resilience and endurance so that you can keep grinding and keep working. And to be honest, this transit can definitely make you feel like you're grinding with little reward. But like I said earlier, the results are coming later. The results, Saturn brings like slowly but surely energy. Like Saturn, you might really be working hard and building something and grinding and you don't even see it, but other people see it. So just think about that when it comes to Saturn. Slow and steady wins the fucking race. If you have a Sagittarius rising, Saturn is going to be in your 5th house. So this is not the best transit, I'm going to be honest. Saturn can definitely dampen or restrict your creativity, your pleasure, your love life, your romance. If you have children or just in general, pregnancy, fertility, children might be an area of concern or duty. You might have increased responsibilities. Like a lot of times when Saturn transits somebody's 5th house, this is when they have kids. This is when, they find themselves burdened or a lot more responsibilities when it comes to children or things like that. You might feel, if you're a creative or in a creative or artistic type of space, you might definitely feel like a creative block. You might feel uninspired. And again, just be patient, just keep going. Your pleasure, your fun, the things when it comes to joy, because the 5th house is joy. Pleasure can come through effort, mastery, and even structuring your creative projects and having discipline. And I would definitely say if you are a Sagittarius rising, allow yourself to fucking have fun. Yes, you might feel burdened. Yes, you might feel like stuff slows down, but that doesn't mean that you stop. You keep going. If you are a Capricorn rising, this is taking place in the 4th house. So this can push you to mature. You can have more responsibilities when it comes to your home, your family life, your ancestral roots. You might have to maybe take care of elders or restructure your living situation. Maybe you have a kid. Maybe you have more responsibilities when it comes to your home life. Maybe you buy a house. Maybe you buy land. Maybe you're building a house. There's just a lot more things that are going on when it comes to your home life or personal responsibilities. And you might even find that things can be heavy or there's just a lot of increased energy or efforts in your personal life. And you might feel like your home or your family could be a place of burden or responsibility. And in general, this can definitely just be a time to solidify your roots and your foundations. What supports you? What do you need? What are you working toward? Like the 4th house is the bottom part of your chart. It represents your roots. It represents your foundations. It is the bottom. Hold on. I'm trying to adjust this. I felt like I was like hunched over a little bit. Okay, that's better. So yeah, it's a time to build. It's a time to keep working. And this is another one that can feel heavy. Regardless of where Saturn is, you're probably going to feel heaviness. I'm going to keep it a buck. But, maturation. Growth. If you're an Aquarius rising, then this is taking place in your 3rd house. So communication, your siblings, your daily environment might require a little bit more effort or a little bit more discipline or restraint. Your mental discipline and careful speech can definitely become essential. So I would definitely watch what you say. This could be a time where you might have to deal with transportation issues or delays in learning. But, this could be a time where maybe you get committed to learning something. Maybe, you master writing, teaching, or some short-term goals in general. Maybe you mend a relationship or get serious when it comes to your siblings, your cousins. Maybe you get more serious about something in your local environment and you decide that you have more responsibilities. Maybe, you find yourself doing something or building something in your community. These could all be things that could come from that. And lastly, if you are a Pisces rising, this is going to be in your 2nd house. So this can bring a lot of financial lessons. You can learn the value of work, savings, discipline, money management. This can lead to the potential for a rise in a scarcity mindset. You might have to find yourself getting crafty or resourceful. This can be a time where you are building wealth slowly and steadily, and it might not, again, you might not. So maybe, you're not spending money, you're not able to buy the things that you want because you're putting more money into your savings, you're putting more money into an investment. So yeah, you being disciplined, being structured, managing your money, and even thinking about just larger than money. The second house represents your needs. The second house represents what you need to survive, what you need to sustain yourself. So this can be even a time where you have to reassess what you need to be comfortable. What do you need to feel safe and secured? And this can be a time for you to really establish and build a safety net, and really work on your values and the things that you are super important. And all in all, like, the second house is what you value. The second house is what you care about. So this can be a time for you to reassess your values and how you're investing your energy, and again, to commit and to get serious about some of those things. So yes, if you want to know what to expect from this transit personally for you, if you are going through your Saturn return, book me. But yeah, connect with me. Like I said, I'm going to put all of my links here so you know where to find me. But like I said, the Saturn and Aries transit really is just asking you to get a little bit more commitment, to have a little bit more responsibility, to implement a little bit more structure in your life wherever Aries is. That's it. That's all. So get serious, get disciplined, and get on your duty. Because yes, this transit might kick your ass. Yes, it might be a little bit difficult, but I promise you, by the time that this transit is over, even, if it snatches you by your edges and you bald and you stressed out and tore up and worn out by the end of this transit, you can look back at it and be like, okay, I needed this, or look at what I built, or look at what I established. So look at it that way. Subscribe to my channel. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Open to all feedback. Love y'all, and I will see y'all in the next video.